If your digestion type in human design is alternating or consecutive appetite, well, then you probably have a struggle sometimes about diet and eating because you have the most sensitive stomach from all of the people, and therefore sometimes it can be a little bit hard. And I'm speaking from own experience because I have consecutive appetite. So in this video, we're gonna discuss how you can deal with it and what helps you to navigate it better. If you don't know me yet, if you're the first time here, my name is Leandra. I'm a human design expert and I work in the holistic health field. And if you want to work with me, get a reading, or look at all the other things that I'm doing, then you can check out my website. You can also book a reading below. A one-on-one consultation is always the most accurate thing to have your energy chart read. So let's get started into consecutive and alternating appetite if that's yours. If you have not done so yet, you can calculate your chart in my app Halo, for example, and if it says consecutive or alternating appetite, well, then that's you. And if we look at the evolution of all the different diets, then we have 6 different stages according to human design in the evolution. And the first stage is appetite, which means this digestion type really comes from the first people here on earth, from the hunters, which means that back in the day, the people would go out and just hunt whatever would be close by, right? So maybe there was buffaloes, and they would kill the buffalo and then eat the buffalo until there was no more buffalo left. Then they would go further, they would maybe find fish, and then they would fish as much as they needed to, eat the fish, and then they would move further. So obviously nowadays we're not hunters anymore, at least most people. So we don't really have this kind of scenario. However, the digestion type or the stomach is still coming from that time, which means that your stomach is only set to have one thing at a time, prepared in a really, really simple way, in a very basic way. Because back in the day there wasn't much spices, there wasn't much ways to prepare the things. They would maybe grill it, but that's it, right? So your stomach cannot handle really complex meals and cannot handle a lot of different ingredients and spices, etc. That's why you want to make sure that you eat the most clean and the most simple and the most pure possible. For you, it is more than any other person or more than any other type, extra important or extra specifically, it matters what kind of quality of food you are eating. For some other people, it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, we all, it's obvious that the less processed the food is, the better, right? But for you, it is extra important because your stomach will not be able to handle if there's a lot of additives in there, if there's a lot of different stuff going on, if you mix too many things together, maybe like an Indian curry or something of that nature, and then you will feel it, that you might feel bloated, or you will feel that you have digestive issues, or that your weight is getting out of balance, etc. And that's why for you it is extra crucial, and you probably already know because your stomach has been sensitive for always. And I remember that fortunately my parents also are consecutive appetite, which is kind of rare. What are the chances, right? So they would cook in this way naturally, instinctively, obviously not knowing about human design, which for me obviously was great growing up. So I already had the best possible way to nurture myself throughout this whole time. But sometimes if we would go to like family gathering or in a restaurant, etc., I remember I would not find anything on the menu and I would not like the meals, and I would usually get sick after we would eat out. So already looking back now, I can tell obviously why, but back then I obviously didn't know, my parents didn't know. However, I was really grateful to be able to have the parents with the same type, which makes it definitely easier. But therefore, you really want to make sure that you adjust your life and your eating habits, if you have not grown up this way nowadays, to that, because that is really going to have an overall impact on your overall well-being, on your health, but also on your whole energy system. And it will open up so many more things for you. It will open up your cognition and the way that you make decisions. It will just bring you, with easy words, more in alignment. So how do we start this? Because unfortunately, in a social setting, this is most of the time the most difficult thing to do, because we live in a world which is so complex, and obviously the food is also really complex and the meals are complex. Most ingredients or most items have a lot of mixed ingredients in them. So for you, the first thing that you should do is really check the items that you're usually buying. And I know it takes a little bit of extra work in the beginning, but you want to check on the back of your cream cheese, let's say, what's in there. And sometimes, ideally, it would just say milk, starter culture, salt, something like that. And I'm grateful that in Germany, usually the products are quite pure and raw. But if you live, for example, in the US, it might be a little bit more challenging to find something that actually doesn't have like 20 ingredients in there. Because let's be real, a cream cheese should just have these 3 ingredients, right? So unfortunately, in some parts of the world, it is not like that. So check first on the back of the things, what's in there, and don't get it if there's like a million different things in it, and because your stomach again will not be able to handle it really well. And there are products that are really raw. Sometimes even in yogurt they put a lot of different things in there. So check for every single item that you're buying what is in there. And it's only a one-time work, because after you've done that work, you know which are the good ingredients, or like which are the good brands and what you can buy, and then you don't have to double check it again, and you can just stick with the things that you're already having. If you go out on in a restaurant, I know it is very challenging sometimes to find something on the menu that actually matches this kind of diet. So therefore, I always beforehand look at the menus of the restaurants and I see if there's something that I can eat. One really great cuisine that is very well adjusted to this kind of diet is Middle Eastern. So you would have maybe hummus or like a grilled cauliflower or very simple salads. So these are these kind of things that actually work really well hand in hand. Sometimes maybe Japanese food could be like that, just having a simple rice, avocado, whatever the case may be. Sometimes Mexican food can be like that, but it also can have a lot of spices. Indian food, in my experience, is a little bit more challenging because obviously it has all these spices in there, all these curries, like cream, mixed ingredients. So a lot of everything that has a lot of sauce or that is like mixed a lot or just everything blending together is not really well for your digestive system. So also smoothies, mixed soups, etc., is not going to be beneficial. And often we have this idea, right, that like a smoothie should be healthy for us or that a soup should be healthy. And that is again a re-question, like, is that good for me? Not is it should be healthy. Because for the longest time I was like, I should probably have a smoothie, right? Because it's healthy and I want to go do something good for myself. But then I always realized that I'd much rather have like 3 pieces of fruit after another instead of having everything mixed in a smoothie where I cannot tell anymore. So ask yourself, is the smoothie actually good for me? And by the way, if that does not resonate, if you feel like, hey, smoothies are great, I love it, it goes really well with my digestion, everything, go ahead and do it, please, because you know yourself best. And what I'm saying is just my own personal observation and the lens of human design, which is looking at it. But we only want to empower you to be your best version. So whatever resonates with you, please stick with that. But if you have digestive issues, it is worth trying it if that's your digestion type. So again, if you go out in a group setting, it might be a bit challenging. The great thing about human design, at least in my perspective, is I know the human design of all of my friends and all the people around me. And so do they know my human design. So we really try to adjust to each other's needs, or really to see each other in our different needs. So when I'm invited to a party, my friends will always be like, hey, we have a lot of separated things for you. We left everything separated because then you will like it as well. And we don't really mind much, right? If we mix it on the plate or in the pot beforehand. So if you have close connections, talk with them about it. Tell them, hey, before you put everything in one pot, could you maybe leave the things separated from me and then you put them in later or something of that nature. If you have a partner, also talk with them, right? Like adjust to your needs, because you will be the one leading basically, because it is so specific, and for most other people it doesn't matter that much. For a lot of people it matters more in which circumstance they eat. So you could be the leader in terms of what they're eating. And in my experience, actually, when I'm cooking my very simple plain meals, usually people love it. They're like, oh, I wouldn't think that just something so simple could actually taste so great. So you might be the one inspiring others as well, which is actually great, because if we look at it, actually, it's kind of like a pyramid, you can imagine it, and our type is at the bottom, and everything else kind of builds up to that. So the more people like us eat in alignment, for the other people it doesn't matter, but they would love it when we present them this kind of really raw, really healthy food. So we're building actually the foundation of the food pyramid, which means that we have a lot of impact on the people around us if we're eating clean, if we're eating healthy. So if you can, also try to get organic or at least local or fresh produce, and not things that have a lot of pesticides on it. Just again, because your system is so extremely sensitive, and you will probably taste the difference as well. And if you also can, don't mix the things on your plate, but eat just one thing at a time. And I have to say, I'm not really doing this because this is a little bit too much for me. I'm usually trying between 3 and 5 different ingredients in one meal, which I'm then not eating one after another, but it's very plain, very simple still. And it's amazing. I love it. Let me know if you have any recipes also that you like. I'm always happy to hear your perspective in it, and what you have to tell, because we can all learn and grow from each other, I feel. One more thing, then also we have the separation between consecutive and alternating appetite. So the big difference is that consecutive is a very structured way, is a very strategic way of taking in things, also taking in food, therefore. Whereas alternating is a more intuitive way of taking in information and food and energy, which means that with consecutive appetite, you probably need a quite big breakfast right when you wake up, and you go really well with having a structured meal plan. So having maybe 3 or 4 or whatever the case may be for you, meals a day. Whereas if you're alternating appetite, you might want to have, you're a snacker, and you might want to have like just several small things here, picks and there's around the day. But again, also really clean, also really simple. You might just maybe chew on a carrot, or you might just have a date and a nut later on. So I knew someone with that who would only eat blueberries basically all around the clock, day and night, and just like snacking blueberries. So that felt right and correct for that person. So alternating is a little bit more smaller meals, more intuitive, more ongoing eating, whereas the consecutive goes well with having quite big portions. It can have a quite big appetite, and people are always surprised how much I can eat, considering that I'm quite thin and lean. But I eat huge portions because otherwise I don't get full. So if you also have consecutive, you might also need a lot of food intake. Obviously, we have to look at several other factors as well. I'm a generator, so I do need a lot of energy on top of that. But yeah, you might need a little bit more energy. So that's it for this episode. Let me know what you're thinking, and if you're still listening, you might subscribing or watching all my other videos on the digestion type. I have another one for consecutive, so if you're curious, you can also watch that. And with that being said, I'm sending you so much love, and bye for now.